Stanley, Chapter 1, The Early Days. We're going to read above the line. Stanley McGregor looked perfectly normal. He was never the tallest of children, but at the same time, he was no shrimp. He was thin, but not in a skinny, bony sort of way. He had a definite shade of blue eyes, and his hair was a common sandy brown, combed from left to right with a sharp crease. He walked with a lively skip in his step and, like most boys, always seemed to have both hands dug deeply into his trouser pockets. To look at Stanley, therefore, one might have been of the opinion that he was just another normal young boy. Okay, page 6. Unfortunately, one would have been very much mistaken. Our Stanley was not normal. Our Stanley was very, very different. I should know. I'm his father. It didn't take my wife Burr and I long to discover that Stanley Paul Francis McGregor was very different from other children. In fact, he was only a few seconds old when he gave us our first shock. As you may know, all newly born babies give a loud cry. This helps their lungs to start working on their own, and is the first step in a lifetime of independent breathing. Stanley, however, had other ideas. He was born holding his breath. With his two eyes shut tightly and both cheeks puffed out, he seemed to be refusing to breathe. Dr. Brandon, who delivered him, catching him by the ankles with one hand, turned him upside down and gave him a good hard whack on the rump with the other. Stanley just puffed out his cheeks even more until his whole head looked like an overripe tomato. Turning him up the right way, and with nurses panicking and running here, there, and everywhere, Dr. Brandon tried to force Stanley's mouth open. It was then that Stanley did it. He let out a huge, ear-piercing shriek of laughter. Dr. Brandon tried to stay calm, but I couldn't help but notice his huge hands tremble as he passed the baby to its mother. Burr and I just stared at each other in disbelief. To this day, we still don't know which of us had turned the paler shade of white. We did know, however, that from that hair-raising moment on, our new bundle of joy was going to be more than a handful.